Wake up! You're asleep at the wheel! I'm Josh Wheel, and in our latest video review, we're going to be talking about the Hunt for Wolverine mystery in Madripoor. Now, this is one of those titles that I would normally skip, and I totally did skip it the first time around. Any of those like super colon books, the feel like cash grab tie-ins, like Hunt for Wolverine, colon, Mystery in Madripoor, feels like the type of thing that, Marvel releases after they announce Hunt for Wolverine. So that way, when people tell their LCSs, hey, like, I want that, like, ooh, Wolverine's coming back, can I get that book? Then the LCS orders a whole bunch of all these tie-ins and jacks up sales because they don't know which ones the customers actually wanted. And that is oftentimes the case. But in those books, you tend to get these kind of like random grab bag collection of characters that like no one wants to use or write, like coming together. There's usually a lot of Sabretooth in there, things like that. Not this one. Look at our team to get started. We've got a team that is made up of Kitty Pryde, Psylocke, Jubilee, Storm, Rogue, and Domino. Just about everyone on this team has been the leader and main star of an X-book before. So yeah, like this is a legit all X-woman badass team. So down to the credits. The trade here, right? Just your regular trade paperback. Features the 4 issues of the miniseries. Written by Jim Zub with art by Thony, Silas, and Leonard Kirk, who I'm a huge fan of. Leonard Kirk has done a lot of very, very pretty, like, enjoyable to read and follow along books with Peter David. I'm a big fan of his art. It is a kind of nice, balanced blend of, like, real and cartoony, if that makes sense. It's not hyper real, but there's a lot of real emotion, and it is stylish without being too bright. It makes for really good comic books. I am a big fan, and he does the final issue of this. Now, this also features the starter book of this. So, Hunt for Wolverine, which was written by Charles Soule, because at this time Charles Soule was in charge of killing and bringing back X-Men characters. So Charles Soule kicked this off, and then Jim Zub took it the rest of the way. Now, so let's get into the beginning of this. Okay, so this book starts off, right? We know that in Death of Wolverine that Soule wrote, Wolverine finished up being drowned in the adamantium, and now he's a statue. And it kind of goes into, what the X-Men did with him. There's a really, really great line by Cyclops, when they're all talking about, because they have this statue of him, and they hid it away somewhere where, friends and loved ones could go visit it, but, where they wanted to keep him safe or make sure that, he didn't go into the wrong hands. Because as they mentioned a couple times in this book, like, the mutant world is just overflowing with mad scientist geneticists who would want to get a hold of Wolverine's body. Plus the fact that, like, he's encased in $1 billion worth of adamantium. And it brings up just this absolute gem of a line of Cyclops, saying, like, we literally put him on a pedestal, which kudos to Mr. Soule right there. So we open with the right tone, right? It is trying to find the balance of reverence and intrigue, okay? We want to have a mystery here, right? Wolverine's body is missing, but we also want these characters, right? Remember that this was a memorial for a character who meant a lot to a lot of these people. And it's one of the great things I loved about it. It's like, I didn't know Kitty was in this, because for some reason she's never on the cover arts, and she's like the main, probably like the mainest character in this, up there with Psylocke. But like, these characters have all, so many of them have had deep storylines, or been like, the Robin to his Batman so often, the long stretches of Jubilee with him, the Kitty Pryde and Wolverine miniseries, Rogue's time working with Wolverine, and when she was the leader of the team and he was running the school, Domino and Wolverine during the Grant Morrison era, Storm, obviously, with her storied history with Logan, there's either been romantic entanglements or father figure roles. Like, he's trained and taught so many of these characters to fight and survive and hone their skills. They are what they are because of him. He means something. The desecration of his grave hits them personally. And, whether he's back and they want to find him, or he's been violated and they want someone to pay for it, these girls are all in this together. And it's like there's so much history and relationship to pull on in this book, and Zub does a fantastic job. Throughout the 4 main issues, each one splits up with a different character taking narration. So I shouldn't say a different character, because we start with Psylocke, then it's Kitty, then it's Domino, and then it's Psylocke again. Which is important, because I think what this book is most memorably known for is being the book when Psylocke becomes Betsy again. Which is why I picked it up, because I knew that it was one of those things where after the fact, like, and Marvel did kind of half-crap job with this afterwards. Right, but so after the fact, we go into Disassembled, and you see right on the cover on the big poster, right, we know that she's British Betsy again. She's OG. She's back in her own body. She's not in Conan's body anymore. But then even in that series, like, the artist couldn't keep it straight. Like, as she was popping up in other books, artists were forgetting and drawing her as, like, Asian Ninja Psylocke, because that's what they'd been used to for 20 years. And, like, it was confusing to people creating it, the people reading it, the people trying to follow along. And I think one of the big reasons for the confusion was that it didn't happen in the main title. Like, it didn't happen in a major X book. It happened in, Cash Grab, Cash Grab 2, Mystery in Madripoor. So I wanted to pick this up. Now, I'd mentioned before, this is a phenomenal time, right? Like, this is the horrible time to be, like, a human being on Earth. But it's a phenomenal time to go back and pick up trades, because comics are still trickling out slowly. Everyone's dealing with different types of budget situations. But if your income has not changed, your expenditures probably have. And your LCS needs you to kind of do some extra orders, and they get great percentages on their trades in terms of the discounts that they purchase it at. There's a good markup there, because they always sell them at MSRP. And that's good money for them, and they can order directly from the distributor to you, so you can get hard-to-find books that might not be on the shelf, like, Hunt for Wolverine, Mystery in Madripoor. And I've been trying to order and go back and pick up some of these trades, and so I picked up this one, because I wanted to support my LCS, and I wanted to find out, like, how exactly did we get, Betsy back in her original body. It's not her original body. It just looks like her original body, by the way. She built it out of psychic energy, molecule by molecule. Because, like, Jim Zub, like, you did a good here, but science... Anyway. But how did she get back? Now, it does a great job with so much of this. The art is pretty good throughout. Honestly, I really like Tony Silas's art in 2. The issue when Kitty, Jubilee, and Domino are all going out, and they've decided to go patch. They're going to be female patches, and they're just going to kick up some shit in Madripoor. I love the way he drew these 3 female characters, because so often they are treated as either sexy lamps or like doe-eyed younger ingenues, or if they're going to be, actual like productive, efficient, members of a team, then they're, the bitches get shit done style. This was just like he made them tops, and I love it, and it was really good. The art was beautiful, the story was true to the characters, and it was a pretty satisfying read. And I got to see Betsy come back. I got to see British Betsy from pre Acts of Vengeance. Get her body back. It filled in some holes for Magneto here for me, from in between X-Men Blue and X-Men Black. It was a pretty good take on Magneto. Remember Magneto and Betsy in Cullen Bunn's Uncanny had some stuff in their relationship, and so Magneto popping up in this was important. It plays well. It's a satisfying story with a good X team. I would have honestly, I would take Zub on an ongoing with this crew of female characters. It was really good. If this was an ongoing, I'd have bought Volume 2. So I wholeheartedly recommend Jim Zub's Mystery in Madripoor. The one last thing I think I was going to say, right? And here we have again, right, some beautiful art of OG Betsy coming back. Right, when this came out. So I've mentioned in some other videos, that there's this period. This came out the same month that X-Men Red launched. So this was like the turnaround time that we now know JDW's in charge, and they've signed Hickman, and they're building the bridge there. They're getting the things in place, which this is part of. Look at what they did with Betsy and Dawn of X. This is part of that. She can't be Captain Britain if this book never happens. Right? But the main books were still kind of, blue, gold. But here we've got, X-Men Red coming out. You've got the Rosenberg miniseries coming out. You've got Astonishing kind of wrapping up and switching over to Rosenberg, or Astonishing in its part, right, bringing back Xavier, also going to be important for, Oxbox. There's a lot of really strong, one-off trades to pick up from this era. Great single stories by some really good writers like Rosenberg and Tom Taylor and Charles Soule and now Jim Zub. It's a really good era to go back and mine. I've mentioned before Past Fears, the Volume 3 of The Cable by Zach and Lonnie came out during this time. This is there was some really, really great X-Men books coming out, and I wasn't sure I was getting one like that here, but I did, and so it has the Asleep at the Wheel seal of approval. I strongly recommend, if you haven't picked it up, grab Mystery in Madripoor, put it in your collection. This is a fairly essential X book. This is not the worst X book that is going to be on my shelf by any stretch of the imagination, even on my trade shelf. This is a good book. Right. So, with that, I bid you adieu. I ask all of you to stay safe. Please, if you're going to leave the house, and why would you? But let's just say you had to for some reason, wear a mask. Be safe for yourself, be safe for your family, be safe for the people around you. We share this world with other people, and they all have an equal right to it. So be considerate, stay 6 feet apart, stay home if you can, wear a mask. Black lives matter, trans lives matter, trans women are women. Stay safe. And that's it. So wake up, because you're asleep at the wheel. Deuces.